Sarah, the metal theologian. And I got a few things to talk about. Yeah, so this is going to be a little shout out to Ron, Mind Over Metal. Just call him Metal Ron Haggerty, and I changed the channel name to Mind Over Metal, which is probably a better name for the channel, but it's not the one I'm used to. And, you know, it's all about me, right? I'm just kidding, so I have to think for a second to remember that. But go subscribe to him, because he's awesome. And I'll tell you why. Because the channel's fun to watch. That's why. Okay, he also happened to send me some shit. And I actually thought I'd handle it a little bit differently. I mean, we kind of tend to do these videos where we like do these opening things and go, oh my god, what's in there? But I don't know, that feels a little bit sort of like, oh, look at this fan mail that someone sent me, you know, look how great I am. And the other thing is actually, I found that I don't tend to watch those videos. Like, because I'm perpetually behind on people's videos anyway. So, like, if I see, like, VCLT from somebody in a video title, I'll probably skip over that one. So I figure if I call this a What's Spinning video with some other interesting shit, then maybe more people actually see this and subscribe to Ron. So I'm kind of playing you, and this is kind of an experiment. So subscribe to Ron whether you buy into the experiment or not. You can just, like, give me a middle finger in the comments or something like that if you think that's a bad idea. So anyway, he sent me this fine thing, and it's actually kind of a trade anyway. I need to figure out something to send him for this, because, you know, we've given each other shit before, but, like, this was kind of intended as a trade, I think. And that is one of the King Crimson albums I was missing. I haven't been in, like, total prog rock land, but last year I started really listening to some of the classic prog guys whom maybe I hadn't overlooked, or maybe I hadn't spent the time with either as I kind of would have liked to. Like, the first, I know less than the second King Crimson record I know pretty well. First one, obviously, 100%, right? In the Court of the Crimson King. But last year I started appreciating records, in the last couple of years, I should say, I started appreciating records more like Lark's Tongues and Aspic and Lizard and some of those other ones that aren't quite as, like, openly, like, I don't know, it feels cliche to say groundbreaking, but so, like, just obviously important as that first one, you know what I mean? So this one, I don't think I've ever actually listened to. You know, I'll tell you something else. I'll be honest. I held John Wetton's participation in Asia against King Crimson too, which really isn't fair because I never held it against Carl Palmer. Not that I'm the biggest ever Slade Palmer fan, right? But like the Atomic Roosters, like, oh, right on, Carl Palmer, you know. But he was just as guilty of that Asia shit as anyone else, and I can't really blame him anyway for being around that long and wanting to, like, not starve or whatever. But anyway, it's all beside the point. The point is, Ron sent me this, and it was really fucking cool of him, and I will figure something out at some point, but he also threw these bad boys in, because that's just how he rolls, and this is just, like, unexpected and surprise, and maybe I'll just hold both these up at once, because I don't really have anything to say about either. I haven't listened to him yet, but it's these Jeff Beck records, because, believe it or not, I've spent almost no time listening to Jeff Beck in my life. I mean, I'm sure I've heard some here and there. When I worked in the record store, the guy who was the boss was a total classic rocker. I mean, I already knew Zeppelin when I walked in there, but, like, working in that record store was when I really got my education and, like, listening to all their records and, like more than once and, like, all the different eras and that, because this guy was just way into that shit, you know? And this was right up his alley, so I'm sure I've probably heard both these records, but I haven't sat down and listened to either of these records, or any other Jeff Beck records. So this is actually super educational for me, and I will come back on and talk about these at some point. They're not too distant future, because what I've heard here and there has been interesting to me, and part of why it's been interesting to me is because I've liked it, and I don't normally like records with covers like this. One guy standing there holding a guitar, that's generally a sign of a lame record to me. So, you know, because I'm into the whole guitar noodling thing, and the fact that it's Jeff Beck and not some band, you know? So anyway, so I really appreciate it. Ron is a hell of a guy. Mind Over Metal, subscribe to his channel. And, yeah, let's talk about a couple other things, too. So, I've been in sort of a weird place. So on the one hand, I've been listening to, like, this really, like, filthy metal. Like, shit like this. God damn it, where did I put it? Oh, I put it over here. I put it over in the stack of shit I was going to talk about. Like this, like Dorsal Atlantica. It's from Argentina, right? This is just like dirty, like mean shit, you know? And it's great. I mean, I've actually listened to a lot of South American shit over the last couple of years, kind of really got into it. Lately, I've been kind of more into the Colombian stuff or the Brazilian shit that I was really geeking out over a couple of years ago, but it's all fucking awesome, you know? This is one of my very favorites, though. These guys are from Argentina, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, titles are in Spanish. Oh, no, wait, no, I lied. Oh, fuck, I don't know, man. I'm just fucking being a poser here anyway. Dorsal Atlantica is great. Actually, it looks like Portuguese, so never mind. Forget what I said. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Great shit. On the other hand, I've been listening to shit like this, man. Which is almost like smooth jazz, but it's this Japanese shit, man. I've just been geeking out over this. So this is Jiro Inagaka, I think? And Soul Media. Inagaki, sorry. Jiro Inagaki. And Soul Media, and this is funky stuff. And yeah, it's cool, the gang cover. I think that's the only one on here, although a lot of these are by someone named Suzuki, who I suspect, actually, now that I'm looking at this, is Hiroshi Suzuki. If I could read the Japanese characters, I might be able to know that, but, yeah, this is another one I've been geeking out over, man. Is this fucking record called Cat by Hiroshi Suzuki. It's fucking fantastic. It's similar to this, though. It's more trombone heavy, because, like, you can see there, he's playing a trombone, right? He's the leader of the band. You know, and here's another one that's just sitting here. I mean, this is kind of... I spent a lot of time talking about Takashi no Mata a couple videos ago, I remember. This one's kind of comparable to that shit, too. This is also Jiro Inagaki with Soul Media, but this one's even heavier and more sort of rocking, you know? Still kind of barely counts as jazz, I suppose, in my collection, but, it's weird because, like, even what I think of as fusion, this plays on a different level from that, you know? But, yeah, so it's kind of in these two, like, polar opposites. So that's what's playing right now. And I'm going to leave that because we're going to do a little demonstration of something here. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of the sandpaper trick. Have you ever heard of the sandpaper trick? You know, I love to, like, stick my finger in the eye of people who are all, like, oh, weird, like, sort of reverent and, like, super gentle with their vinyl records. You can always tell because they say vinyl records and just saying records or vinyl, you know. It's like, it's fucking records if you've been at it for a while. Well, anyway, I have this record, Perpetual Defiance by Detritus, which I got pretty cheap a long time ago, and there's a big gouge in it, and I kind of just filed it away and forgot about it, and I busted it out not too long ago and tried to play it, and unfortunately the fucking thing skipped. It was basically unplayable. So it was a bummer. I'm glad I didn't blow a lot of money on it. So, I had heard of this thing, this idea, which is a last resort measure, okay? So let's be clear about this. I'm not like advocating you just go fucking do this. But as a last resort, if you've got a really big gouge, you can actually take some fine-grained sandpaper and fucking rub over it and get the fucking gouge out, or at least smooth it down enough that you can play over it. Now let me just be honest, okay? The effort was unsuccessful, okay? But I tried it. And look at this. I'm going to show like how this fucking record looks after I put sandpaper and rubbed it down. And then I'm going to play it. Is that even showing up? I don't think it's showing up like at all. Wait a minute. Fuck. No, this is hard to do. I really want to get this in there right though. Because it looks so fucked. Damn it, I don't know if I'm getting it. Here we go. Let's just fucking put my finger. There it is. There's the spot. Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, it's right under my finger. Can you see that? It might be really obvious once you're like watching this, but in a little fucking monitor there I can barely see. So here's the deal. I'm going to play the part where I rubbed over with sandpaper, and you're not going to believe how good this still sounds. Okay, and that's the point of this exercise. It's not like, oh boy, sandpaper's great for your records. Because obviously it's not. It's about the worst thing you can do. But what gives this whole idea credence at all is just the fact that you can fucking be so rough on your fucking records. And they'll still play. Okay? I mean, for the love of God, don't put your fingers on the surfaces. Everything you've ever heard about treating your records properly, you know, do it, right? Don't be an asshole. Don't be an idiot. Okay? But just because a record has a couple scuffs on it doesn't mean you have to go and upgrade it or you know, pass on it, like hold out for a better copy and like go through all this agony. Because listen to this. If you're listening, you can hear where the spot is when it's going through the mark. But it's not really obvious. I fucking rubbed this with sandpaper, and this is how it sounds. And I rubbed it a lot. I was trying to get a fucking big-ass gouge out, and I wasn't able to get it out. I kept trying and trying until finally I gave up, okay? Some people are like, oh, you gotta be so delicate with your records. You gotta, like, if you can think about them wrong, like, your fucking records are gonna be destroyed. Sandpaper. Fuck sandpaper. Not like special record store grade sandpaper, like shit from Lowe's. Even the pop sounds really clear once we get there. It's kind of funny. I'm just gonna let this go till it skips, and I get annoyed by it. And then we'll switch it out. Watch, since I'm doing this and like building up, it's probably not going to hang at all. And I'll be like, oh shit, my record's fixed. Yeah, so this is Jesus Metal. I busted this one out too, and this is super good Jesus Metal. It was Killed by Kane record. This one just keeps growing on me and growing on me. It's just unusual, you know? I mean, it sounds... If I say it sounds like early 90s metal, that makes it sound like it's probably death metal, right? It doesn't sound like that. It sounds like it's classic metal, but it sounds like it's from the early 90s. You know what I mean? It sounds like it's early 90s music that happens to be metal, if that makes sense. It kind of has that sort of 93, I think? Yeah, originally released in 93. Has a kind of 92, 93, 94 attitude in it, as far as being a little bit more cynical, a little bit less about the cocaine in the metal, and a little bit more about the attitude, I guess, what I'm trying to say, but not just like the sort of, you know, being pompous, but more like sort of being, you know. It just fucking works, man. It's just really good record. So I'm really happy to have this one. Here's another one that I've been keeping an eye out for a long time for. This is the second Bride album, which I think I might even like more than the first one. Oh, there's the pop. And I didn't expect to get that pop out. I was hoping to get to a point where it wouldn't skip. It's probably going to start skipping in a minute. Second Bride record. I talked about this with Scott. He thinks this is probably their best one. I think he's probably right. It's funny, I had this years ago. I thought it was crap and I got rid of it. And then I couldn't find it again when I like rediscovered the band. And I was like, man, this is so good. What a dumbass I was to get rid of it. And it ate at me and ate at me, and finally I found one cheap. So there we go. It wasn't cheap, but it was reasonable. Yeah, there we go, that's skipping. So like I said, from that standpoint, it was a failed experiment. But from the standpoint of, like, validating the resilience of records, it worked well. I'm just going to bump this ahead and listen some more. Because I'm not going to talk forever. It's already been 15 minutes. So, on a much more sort of, like, naive end of the spectrum, man, I pushed up the first White Spirit record. I think that's a hilarious band name because they probably have no idea they sound like a fucking white power band, but there you have it. It's a good record. I think I like their singles more still, except I'm so sick of Cheetah, which was on every single fucking comp that came out of Britain in 1980, that I got really kind of tedious. But like Fool for the Gods is the last song on here. It's really kind of a cool epic track with like that sort of new wave of British heavy metal naivety about it, though. Midnight Chase was a decent song. I think that was even a single too. You know, it's just kind of a fun record. It's not really super challenging, but I just like the song. It just works for me somehow. You know, I mean, If I were going to argue against my usual contention, which is that almost all of the best new wave British heavy metal records are 45s, this would not be a very good exhibit because it's not that fantastic an LP that I would try to argue against something like Crucifixion's 45s with. But it's a fun record, you know, and if you can find it relatively, for a reasonable price, it's worth it, you know what I mean? Give me a few laughs. Yeah, I pulled this one out. This is the Wizard record. Knights of Metal. And, yeah, these guys are from San Antonio. I got talked about a lot more, like, sort of around 2000-ish, but there we go. Originated in San Antonio, the heavy metal capital of Texas. And tomorrow the world. So you know they're not fucking around. You know how else they're not fucking around? Because their castle, look, see this cover? The castle's a dick. You see that shit? Look at that. So you know they're not playing games. Also, you know that these guys aren't playing games. Look at the fucking guy holding the skull. Yeah, he's not fucking around, man. Look at his mustache. That's all business, that fucking mustache. And that other dude, man, fucking, he'll fuck you up. Look at that guy. Goddamn, man. Yeah, total San Antonio. It's great, man. These songs are fucking awesome. There are 4 songs on here. They're all great. The singer's a little bit yelpy. A little bit sort of, like sort of sings like a mid-range, then just sort of like does a falsetto and then goes back to sort of usual mid-range. Not the greatest singer, really, but it just works, man. This whole thing just fits together well. The song, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, all these songs are hummable. I mean, that's really the bottom line, you know? They kind of stick in your head, you know what I mean? Usually I bust this out, it's because I've had the song Future Nights in my head or something like that. Or Crystal City. Or Knights of Metal, let's be honest, you know? So, very cool record. Pretty tough to find these days, but there are at least 1 or 2 reissues of it about. Yeah, I mentioned some of the Colombian stuff. So yeah, this is like first half of the 80s, I think. This is a Nuclear War Now reissue, but this is a Reencarnacion. And these guys, I think, are from Colombia. Yeah. And yeah, this is like what black metal was like in the 80s, you know? There's a lot more like the first Destruction LP, although it's even dirtier and lower fi than that. Frankly, they probably shouldn't have the budget that even Destruction did early on, you know? So, yeah, but it just sounds nasty and snotty and rough, and I kind of love every minute of it, man. Because it's actually, like, really, the songs are really good, too, so... It's charming, but it's just fucking dope, too, you know? So, yeah, that's great. What else do we have here? I listen to a lot of Finnish stuff, too, actually. In fact, you know who I should probably highlight a little bit? Where's the shit? See, I just pulled the shit out. And I play it. Okay, so I've been listening to a lot of Zisma lately, actually, too. I have all these fucking records sitting around. You know, it's funny. I was really into this shit for a while in the 90s. This band, okay? This is First and Magical. And the one that I really fell in love with, actually, was this one, was Lotto, which I've talked about in at least one video before. So I was really happy when it got released on record. It was only on CD back in the 90s, right? Has a sort of groovy vibe. It's still unabashedly metal, but it has really sort of, it's kind of hooky and sort of, the coolest thing I can think of that's sort of like is like those Wrathchild America records. And when I really sort of connected with 3D with that record, I think it's because it kind of sounded like this, and I already loved this, but that also led me to rediscover this band because I'd kind of forgotten about them. Anyway, all these bands kind of have, or these records have that vibe to sort of a greater or lesser degree. Deluxe probably more than some of them. Look at that. I think this guy looks like Richard Ojeda from a distance. It's probably just the hair, but whatever. You know, this one's a little bit more death metal-y, you know, since that's kind of where they started out, but you can still hear that groove on it, you know what I mean? And I just find these records really enjoyable. So I've kind of investigated a little bit more with some of this shit, you know. And this is one band that I came across. This record was relatively cheap. It's a Svart reissue, and I don't think anyone knows about it. It's a band called Lubricant. They kind of have that vibe, too. They're not... I don't know. To say they don't have the star power of Zisma maybe sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, that sentence just kind of seems a little bit silly. You know what I mean? But if you can look past that, then I would say these guys don't quite have the star power of Zisma. But it's a good record, man. The fucking songs are good, and it holds my attention all the way through, man. It kind of has a little bit of that groove. It's a little bit more on the sort of the metal side of that, though. But it really stays right in that lane where I like it, you know, because I tend to not like, you know, fusion metal. I mean, I really hated that whole rap metal thing with the Korn and all that shit. And if these guys had played their cards really poorly instead of really well, they could have ended up down in one of those little cesspools, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I've been really into that shit. Okay, and finally, we'll close out with one more, just speaking of shit that, actually, here's one that doesn't play its cards right. This Omnitron one. This one got hyped on the Colosseum, so I got curious about it. And I've listened to this a few times since I got it, I don't know, a while back, and I think I've decided that I just kind of don't like it. You know, I'll keep coming back around to it because I'm still kind of fascinated by it, but the bottom line is, I think this record tries to be too many different things all at once, and basically does exactly what Zisma and Lubricant don't do, which is end up corny and sort of going off down these little these little fucking rabbit holes, like trying to show like what great musicians they are, how like hip they are, how like in tune with the culture they are, some other horse shit that I don't give a crap about, and the record just kind of loses its way. So yeah, I don't really think I like Omnitron very much, even though they're Sweden's greatest power thrash band, because it says so right there, man, the greatest, dude. So. Alright, so here's what I was going to wrap up with, because this is one, I actually just got this a couple weeks ago. I've been kind of traveling and shit, actually. I was up in Long Island, and I found this one at a record shop on Long Island. This is Keeper of the Seven Keys, Part 2 by Halloween. I had a beef with these guys for a long time, because I thought Future World was so corny, and a lot of that other shit off Part 1. Now that I have gotten older and cornier, I realize I kind of like that shit, but this record is my first foray into Michael Kiske era Halloween. I really like this record a lot, man. In fact, it's not even as corny as I would have thought. Like, fuck it, it's kind of corny. Like, the song Keeper of the Seven Keys, a long epic track, definitely spends a little bit of time sort of skimming the cornball waters, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I just really like this record. As long as you open the gatefold, man, because the inside is all bad, just cornball, goofy shit. Yeah, a friend of mine in San Francisco, actually, he knew about this record back in the day, but he didn't know that Part 1 existed. So he always thought it was funny that there was a Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2, but no Part 1. I was like, I kind of spoiled it, I felt like, but, you know, when I said, oh yeah, actually there is a Part 1, but, oh well. I just rained on his parade, I guess. Anyway, Detritus is good, isn't it? There's a reissue of I think it's the second album coming out on, I want to say Rocks relatively soon. I know Scott Waters does some work for it, so if you're interested, that's an avenue you can pursue without having to dig up originals. So do that, and subscribe to Ron, and thank you for watching, and that's all I've got. Until next time.